Gurmagad, that's Concorda, and can I thank Sinn Féin for bringing forward this very important motion, and can I welcome again, as others have, those in the gallery who are directly affected by this issue. I can only imagine what they're thinking. Listen to this, possibly that they've heard all this before. It's hard really to think of another scandal, and this is a national scandal, that displays the worst of what Ireland is and has been. Moneyed developers maximising their profit through, by, in many instances, lobbying for a political system to bow to them. They construct fire traps in many instances. They let people buy them at exorbitant prices in many circumstances. And then, as has been quite rightly said, they can reimagine themselves, re-establish themselves, liquidate themselves and rename themselves, and never have to have any responsibility taken for what they have done. And what's most galling for those of us who deal with families in this situation, there's a number of things that strike you about families in this situation. So first of all, it's the fear that you're constantly living with. Going to bed and looking at the ceiling and looking at the walls around you that you're actually mentally at war with, because you think that this place that you live in could potentially kill you. The sense of guilt that you're raising a family in this apartment that could potentially kill you. And then the worst thing of it, the worst part of it, is that you can't even talk about it because you're worried about the reputational damage that the apartment block will have or the area will have. And so you want to be kind of careful about your language in case media reports about this death trap and then that investment that you've put in, that mortgage that you're paying, is going to be effectively worthless. I mean, that's a devastating set of circumstances. And it has cost lives, this entire national scandal. I remember a man called Fiachra Daly, who, at the height of the Priory Hall scandal, took his own life because of the pressure that he and his family were under. He didn't survive. So this scandal has cost lives already. So I think whenever the history of this is written, it will rank as one of the major national scandals of how bad Ireland worked, how bad politics worked in this country, how much power these developers had to change the political system, to change planning systems, to change regulatory systems, to get what they wanted, to build what they wanted to whatever standard they wanted, to maximise the profit that they wanted. And as soon as anything came back to their door, they just changed who they were so they could take no responsibility and kept going. It's remarkable, that's Concordia, when you actually sit down with these families and say, well, who can we take a case against? But you can't, because they don't exist anymore. The cowboys who built this thing that could kill my family. And I can't talk about it because I'm worried that the reputational damage will hurt my investment, which means that hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that some work could be done on this to repair it before we ever have to talk about it. It is a vice grip on your head and on your body and on your mentality and on your family. So they're absolutely, these families here and the families that I'm dealing with, thousands of them, absolutely dependent, Minister, on, I was going to say you, but I think you're correct, us. Us. Because I think what the families don't really want to hear is a political squabble of point scoring and getting our one up over each other. I think, Minister, if I'm to take from your contribution, which I think we're probably at a better stage now and getting somewhere towards resolving this than maybe we have been in the last number of years. Because I want people who are listening to this debate in the gallery not to go home angry and just angry. I think they need to come home from this debate thinking, well, I feel from this debate that we actually might get somewhere. Now, I have to say, when they hear 10 years, I'm quite sure that's going to break a little bit of their hearts. I accept that. Yeah, I accept that. So we have to be careful. Yeah, I accept that, Minister. So I think when we use language and we speak about timelines and timescales, we need to be sure that we can bring people on board and that they can have that level of hope. I agree with other speakers who say that we have to talk about absolute redress and we have to look retrospectively over the past 30 years or so. So, Minister, and we also have to ensure that as a collective that this never, ever, ever happens again. And it does come in, by the way, to the current discourse where it appears that if you have any view on any apartment complex that's currently being planned in any part of the country, that as a political representative you can have no opinion on it. I think it's only fair that the political system should work to be as critical and as strongly observant of what developers do today as ever. I think that's a reasonable thing for political people to do. So, Minister, what I want to focus on is on the solutions. We want to work with you in a timely manner. We want to ensure that we have the funding here available to fix not just these homes, but these lives, and to ensure that those families who are worried about their children growing up in what could actually be an entity that could seriously harm them, they can have some potential in a short period of time to rest their heads on a pillow and not worry, because it's soul-destroying. It is life-defining. I mean, imagine when you're 60 or 65 or 70 years of age and you look back on your life and you say, for 20 years of that or longer, I was terrified going to bed every night and terrified waking up every morning. And it cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of euro. Why? What did you do? I did absolutely nothing. I trusted somebody. That was my mistake. I trusted somebody who sold me this thing, who had been through the entire process, that it would actually work. So, as I said, the families have heard all this before. They've heard all this rhetoric before. We want a system that works. We want it to be timely. We want it to be funded. We don't want anybody who have to put their hands in their pockets. We want justice from those entities who did this in the first place. And we absolutely want to ensure that this never, ever, ever happens again. It's a national scandal, Minister. It's on the same level as any other national scandal that we've ever dealt with in these houses. It has to be treated as such, and we have to, all of us collectively, work with you to get answers and to get justice for the families here and any family who is affected by it, and also those families who don't even realise that they are affected by it. And in my own case, in my own constituency, I don't even feel as if I can list off the apartment blocks and the residence groups that I've been dealing with, because on one level, I'm not sure if they'd thank me. And that's the level of fear that we're dealing with. I hope you appreciate that, Minister, but I think we all have a responsibility to get this right and to get it right soon.